During the 16th and 17th centuries, Catholicism had a strong influence on Italy, imposing a strict guideline of what the people should believe concerning science. But Galileo Galilei challenged all this, as well as forged the path for so many new advancements in science, particularly astronomy, when he explored the universe with his ingenious telescope, observed the Galilean moons, and when he made profound discoveries in physics and heliocentrism, despite encountering persecution and rejection from the dominant Catholic Church. Galileo Galilei was born in Pisa, Italy, a city most known for its Leaning Tower of Pisa. In his early life, Galileo was going to become a priest, but at his father's urging, he enrolled in the University of Pisa. Originally to study medicine, but his interests digressed to natural philosophy. Here at the University of Pisa, he made his first prominent discovery, the pendulum. It's a popular belief that Galileo invented his pendulum after seeing a chandelier swing back and forth. No matter how, his invention allowed for measuring time, which led to Galileo making discoveries in acceleration. Most importantly, he refuted Aristotle when he proved that gravity affects the acceleration of all falling objects the same. In 1608, Dutchman Hans Lippershey filed a patent for his invention that would let the user see something magnified. He called it his spyglass, and at the time, it was a popular novelty item. Until Galileo decided to make a spyglass of his own. In 1609, Galileo invented his own telescope, and at first it could only magnify up to 8 times.
His original spyglass, it's actually very simple. There's just a lens at the front of the telescope, and then there's another set of lenses in the back of the telescope called an eyepiece. And the lens in the front is curved, so as light comes in to that curved lens, it refracts or bends, and it bends to a point where it comes to focus. All the rays of light come to focus right at that eyepiece, then that's where you look with your eye in the telescope and you see whatever you're looking at magnified.
Galileo first published his discoveries about space in a book called The Starry Messenger in 1610.
It was a bestseller. It sold out of its first printing. Galileo, there are 2 parts about his background that people don't give enough credit to. One is that he was an excellent writer, and in that he used fairly simple language. It wasn't real scientific in that book, so that a lot of people could read it.
One important part in Galileo's book was about how the moon looked through his telescope, and how it did not look like what everyone thought it did. On the moon's surface, he wrote, "The moon is not robed in a smooth and polished surface, but is in fact rough and uneven, covered everywhere, just like the Earth's surface, with huge prominences, deep valleys, and chasms." Using his telescope, Galileo was able to discover 4 moons that orbited Jupiter. This was a pretty big deal because it proved that not everything in the solar system orbited Earth. Galileo named these moons the Medicean moons, after a merchant family of Italy, the Medicis. Today, however, they are known as Galilean moons, and more specifically, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Galileo also observed that Venus had phases, not unlike the moon. This was further proof that Venus did not revolve around Earth.
The fact that it was revolving around the sun rather than the Earth was the explanation for its phases. That we could not see Venus all the time could only be explained by the fact that it had to be somewhere else. If it were only rotating around the Earth because the Earth was the center of the universe, it would be present at all times, and clearly it was not.
This belief that the planets of our solar system revolved around the sun rather than everything revolving around the Earth was known as heliocentrism. However, the idea in heliocentrism went against the Catholic belief of geocentrism, and to go against the Catholic Church was a radical thing to do.
Since he really went against the church, that was his big thing. And he was able to show us that the solar system isn't centered around the Earth, that the solar system is centered around the sun, and that was just complete heresy back then.
Heliocentrism was first introduced by a man named Nicholas Copernicus. However, he did not publish his findings until very late in his life in fear of persecution from the church. Because Galileo contradicted the Bible, he was considered a heretic. There was even a system of punishing these heretics integrated into the government, and it was known as the Catholic Inquisition. Galileo had faced the Inquisition twice before to be warned. In 1616, Cardinal Bellarmine warned Galileo to never discuss or defend the Copernican theories, and in 1624, Galileo was assured by Pope Urban VIII that he could write about the Copernican theory as long as he treated it as a mathematical proposition. But in 1632, when Galileo published his book called The Dialogue on the Two Chief Systems of the World, the Inquisition did not take it lightly. This book was written to compare two well-known models of the solar system, Copernican and the Ptolemaic system, which placed the Earth in the center of the universe.
Dialogue of the world systems, of the chief world systems, which was a dialogue. It gave both sides. You could tell he really liked the side about Copernicus, and he sort of overwhelmed it, that he was disobeying an order.
By publishing this book, Galileo stirred up his opposers and enemies. In October of 1632, the Inquisitor of Florence showed up at Galileo's house, ordering Galileo to present himself to the Holy Office in Rome. At the time, he was 68 years old, weak and ill. Still, he was forced to make the 200-mile journey to Rome. In April of 1633, Galileo was to stand trial in front of 10 cardinals. He and his dialogue were investigated, and it was deemed that Galileo had committed heresy. Galileo's ending was not a happy one. The church had defeated Galileo. No more did he continue to defend himself, and he was forced to admit something he did not believe in. In exchange for a less harsh sentence, Galileo testified against the Copernican theory, which he had spent half of his life trying to prove. In the Holy Office of Rome, he said, "I held, as I still hold, as most true and indisputable, the opinion of Ptolemy, that is to say, the stability of the earth and the motion of the sun." Galileo spent the rest of his days under house arrest in Arcetri, Italy. He died in 1642 at the age of 78. Perhaps if it was up to Cardinal Bellarmine or Pope Urban VIII, Galileo would have been forgotten forever. But the exact opposite happened. Galileo's own life may not have ended happily in his time, but today he is revered around the world for exploring space and physics and enduring the impressive and harsh encounters with the Inquisition. Galileo inspired Isaac Newton and is known as the father of modern science, the most fitting of titles.